Hello everyone, this is Group 4 and we are doing our team project on Michael Scott. Alright, we are going to get started with an introduction and some background information on The Office and Michael Scott. So The Office is a sitcom which kind of showcases your typical corporate type environment. It does exaggerate the typical culture and atmosphere, especially the specific personalities of the people who work there. We are going to be talking about the various leaders and followers in the TV show, specifically Michael Scott, who is the branch manager of Dunder Mifflin, which is a paper company. And we're going to be talking about specifically his behavior, his leadership qualities, and those leader-follower dynamics. And just to give you a quick introduction of Michael Scott, here is this video.
People say I am the best boss. They go, God, we've never worked in a place like this before. You're hilarious. And you get the best out of us. I think that pretty much sums it up.
So who is Michael Scott and what are some of his personality traits? He has a unique personality which carries over to his behavior as a leader. Therefore, he is extremely extroverted and is not afraid of being the center of attention, which definitely ties in with him being very loud, especially in the office. He is always making jokes, whether people think they're funny or not. He feels every emotion very deeply. You always know how he's feeling just because he makes it extremely obvious when he's mad, sad, happy, or whatever. He has a strong need to feel included or liked by others, which can be good or bad. And lastly, he is really blunt and sarcastic. He thinks it's funny, but I'm sure to some other people it can come across as offensive. He says how he feels and is not apologetic for it. And this goes hand in hand with his constant joking, which can also be perceived as inappropriate. A little quote by Michael Scott is, sometimes you have to take a break from being the kind of boss that's always trying to teach people things. Sometimes you just have to be the boss of dancing, which we thought definitely fit his personality. All right, for generalized leader behavior from the textbook, there's two different types. That is relations-oriented behavior and task-oriented behavior. We felt that Michael had a little bit of both. He definitely doesn't have everything for each of them, but he has a few aspects. For relations-oriented behavior, he always has a need to be liked by everyone. So he's constantly trying to build those relationships. He likes to have fun at work and outside of work and just create that fun and loose environment, which definitely goes hand in hand with the relations aspect. And lastly, he is extremely sarcastic and playful. That can be a good thing and a bad thing, but it definitely leans more to the relations side because he is trying to develop those relationships, make them more fun, and have everyone kind of be a team when he is behaving that way. Second, for task-oriented behavior, he does hold daily meetings. He's constantly getting people together to do trainings, workshops, random things, parties. So he is hitting his tasks in that aspect. He does direct work activities, make sure people are doing their jobs. Whether he goes about them good is another story, but he is trying to enforce some work. And lastly, he enforces some rules. He wants people to do their job. So, like, for one example, the branch was going to potentially be shut down due to downsizing, and he advocated for that not to happen. They were going to hit goals, and was definitely more task-oriented in that situation. So overall, he's a little bit of a mixture of both. And the quote we have from him is, "I guess the atmosphere that I've tried to create here is that I'm a friend first and a boss second and probably an entertainer third." So this definitely applies more to the relations aspect rather than task-oriented. But this is his general leader behavior. All right, we're going to be talking about Michael Scott's emotional intelligence. So we found this really cool chart that actually depicts his emotional intelligence by 4 categories. Travis Bradberry and his team created it, and he's actually an award-winning author of the best-selling book Emotional Intelligence and founder of Talent Smart, which teaches people emotional intelligence and does trainings and things along those lines. So we felt this was a pretty good model to describe his emotional intelligence. I'm just a little call out that these scores are from 1 to 100. Average scores are in their 70s, and above average are 80s and 90s. All right, so the first category is self-awareness. Michael is at a 50, which is pretty accurate because he is not always aware how his actions are or how they may appear to other people. He's always kind of doing his own thing, being life of the party, and that doesn't always come across well to others, and he doesn't realize that. Moving on to self-management, which is a 46, so a little bit lower because he doesn't always manage how he is, kind of goes hand in hand with self-awareness. He's always off doing crazy stuff, especially having intense emotions, and does not manage those well. If he's happy, he's extremely happy. If he's sad, he's very sad, and he makes that very apparent to everyone around him and doesn't manage himself or his emotions very well. Moving on to social awareness, it's a little bit higher, and that's because he is really active with wanting to engage people, wants to be very well liked, like we said earlier. So he kind of wants to always get the team together, have a good time, make people laugh, which makes him socially a little bit higher. Last is his relationship management. That's back down to a 51. Because his relationships are kind of rocky. Sometimes they're great and he gets along with people, and other times they're not so good just because of his crazy personality. He is either awesome or really offensive. So the relationships are kind of back and forth. So overall, his EQ or emotional intelligence is a 54, which is much lower than average, and therefore that is a category that he would definitely need to improve on if he wants to be more self-aware, socially aware, and things along those lines. Now we're going to be talking about leading with love. Michael is definitely a firm believer in leading with love. As the quote below states, would I rather be feared or loved? Easy, both. I want people to be afraid of how much they love me. So Michael wants to serve people to the point where he's surrounded by love and as if they were adoring fans. However, this is often not the reality for Michael. There have been many times where Michael intends to do nothing but good, but the execution is off the mark, leaving the victim feeling as if Michael was intending to humiliate or sabotage them. There are several moments throughout the series where he's able to lead with love effectively, and in turn, the affected individual is grateful for his actions and feels a sense of loyalty and trust with Michael. This specific scene from season 3, episode 17 showcases a prime example of Michael leading with love as he uplifts Pam after she's had an incredibly difficult day. So we're going to show you that video.
Thanks for coming.
Pam Casso. Sorry I'm late. I had to race across town.
Oh, Michael.
Wow. You did these? Freehand?
Yep.
My God, these could be tracings. Oh. Look at this one. Wow. You nailed it. How much?
What do you mean?
I don't see a price.
You want to buy it?
Well, yeah. Yeah, we have to have it for the office. I mean, there's my window and there's my car. Is that your car?
Uh-huh.
That is our building. And we sell paper. I'm really proud of you.
Thank you.
In terms of leader-member exchange, Michael is able to create positive and negative exchanges with his co-workers in every episode. Although his exchanges with the entirety of the office crew has led to some in-group, out-group scenarios, such as with Toby, Michael has been able to positively affect those around him. Michael has shown recognition to excelling employees and by rewarding them with a Dundee Award. He asks his employees for their opinion on work-related topics such as business and sales strategy, and on non-work-related topics such as asking them to set him up with a date. Michael has also encouraged his employees to pursue their dreams and has provided support for them too, such as Pam when she wanted to go to art school, or Jim when he wanted to date and then engaged Pam. Now we are moving on to seeking and receiving feedback. Specifically, Michael has a performance-proof orientation style. He seeks out only positive feedback while avoiding almost all negative feedback from his superiors and subordinates. When he receives feedback he doesn't agree with, he typically denies it and tries to prove the other person wrong. However, Michael does create opportunities for his subordinates to give feedback at his daily meetings. These meetings do provide a forum for the workers to voice their opinions, whether he likes it or not. All right, we're going to talk about a specific one-on-one coaching session that Michael had with Jim, specifically to discuss his performance sales. In this session, he was not successful in the following areas. Michael did not set clear goals for Jim. He did not utilize any data collection tools to accurately assess Jim and provide feedback for him. Instead of evaluating the performance of Jim, Michael instead decided to demonstrate how to make a sale, which ended up being controversial. The meeting came across as Michael just trying to show off rather than utilizing the time to give Jim feedback and set performance goals. However, he was successful in one area, which he did show Michael that he was willing to go down onto the ground and make a sale himself if he needed to. In conclusion, Michael Scott has a mixture of positive and negative leadership qualities. He enjoys making others laugh and typically strives to build relationships and be team-oriented. Even though he does have good intentions, his actions usually come across negatively due to his sarcasm, low emotional intelligence, and narcissistic personality. Overall, you definitely cannot predict what Michael Scott is going to do next.
Thanks for watching.
It's Brittany, bitch.